Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. This deep dive is sponsored by StoneFly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyperconverged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox Cluster, AI servers, SA365, a turnkey security appliance, public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com for more info. So, today we are taking a deep dive into the really competitive world of semiconductor giants.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space.
We've been looking at some material that really focuses on two, well, absolute powerhouses, companies fundamental to the tech you use every single day, Qualcomm and Broadcom.
Both absolutely critical, aren't they? Especially in wireless 5G rollout and now increasingly this explosion in AI.
Exactly. But what's interesting and the material brings out is that while they both make these incredibly complex chips, their approaches are quite different. How they tackle the market, how they, build their businesses.
Right. And that's our mission here, isn't it? To sort of unpack that based on this material, understand what makes them tick, where their focus lies, and the really intense competition they're both up against.
Consider this your guide to getting a solid handle on these key players. Okay, shall we kick off with Qualcomm?
Let's do it. So Qualcomm's core business, as this material describes it, it's really designing these high-performance but crucially low-power chips.
Right, power efficiency is huge for mobile.
Exactly. For a long time, yeah, people just thought phones when they heard Qualcomm. But they've really broadened out. We're seeing their designs in PCs now, XR, that's extended reality, automotive systems, wearables, robotics, just general connectivity stuff, and of course, AI applications. It's quite a spread.
And one thing the material really emphasizes is their intellectual property, that massive patent portfolio.
Oh, absolutely huge. Foundational patents for 3G, 4G, and now 5G. It's almost like they own the instruction manual for modern wireless.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that IP must be incredibly valuable.
It's key. It gives them this steady licensing revenue, no matter who actually makes the final chip in a phone. It's a powerful strategic advantage.
Okay, so looking at the case for Qualcomm, what does the material highlight as their main strengths right now?
Well, a few things. Strong traction with 5G adoption globally that gives them a pretty clear runway for future business.
Makes sense.
Their revenue streams are also diversifying, becoming less dependent just on smartphones, which is healthy. And the company seems pretty confident they're on track for their long-term financial targets.
And there's this strategic shift mentioned, moving away from just being a wireless company.
Exactly. The material describes it as transitioning to a connected processor company aimed at the intelligent edge.
The intelligent edge, meaning processing happening more on the device itself rather than just in the cloud.
Precisely. Making devices smarter locally. And you can see this in their recent product announcements. For example, the Qualcomm X85 5G modem RF.
Okay, modem RF sounds technical. What's the key takeaway there?
The important bit is that this new version has a dedicated 5G AI processor built right in.
An AI processor just for the modem. What does that do for me, the user?
It uses AI to make the 5G connection faster, more stable, and noticeably better on battery life for Android phones. The material says operators are already adopting it. It's that kind of tangible AI benefit.
Gotcha. Faster, longer-lasting phone connection. That's something people notice.
Definitely. And they're also pushing into gaming chipsets, expanding their Snapdragon G series for mobile and other handhelds.
And landing big customers is always a good sign, right? Like the Samsung deal.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Samsung using Qualcomm's top-tier Snapdragon 8 Elite mobile platform in their premium S25 phones. That's a major win, especially since Samsung also makes its own chips.
Right, the Exynos line. So that shows Qualcomm still has the edge at the high end.
It certainly underscores their strength there. And another major focus, according to the material, is this whole AI PC market that's starting to emerge.
Yes, PCs with dedicated AI capabilities.
They're putting a lot of energy into that. Making strategic investments, too, like a planned acquisition of a company called Movion AI, specifically to boost their AI research.
Yeah.
They're clearly betting big on AI moving onto our laptops and desktops.
Okay, so lots of forward momentum, expanding into new areas. But it can't all be smooth sailing. The material mentions competition.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't pull any punches there. In that AI PC space, they're going right up against Intel.
The incumbent.
Exactly. In high-end smartphones, even with the Samsung win, they still have to compete with Samsung's own Exynos chips in some regions.
True.
And then if you look at the mid-range and budget phone market, MediaTek is a really strong and growing competitor. They can't be ignored.
And the material also flags potential future competition, too.
Yeah, it anticipates that as AI gets everywhere, Qualcomm will likely face even more direct competition from other giants like, well, Broadcom and NVIDIA, which makes sense given their
And
capabilities.
external factors. Geopolitics.
That's mentioned too. Qualcomm does a lot of business in China, so the material points out potential vulnerability to, US-China trade issues. That's always a background risk for companies with big global operations.
So powerful foundations, pushing into new growth areas, but definitely fighting battles on multiple fronts.
That sums it up pretty well for Qualcomm.
Okay, let's switch gears then.
Mm.
Broadcom. The material paints a picture of a company with maybe a different focus.
Yeah, a different technical slant and market strategy for sure. Broadcom specializes in these really complex chip designs, often blending digital and analog signals, what's called mixed signal CMOS, and also other specialized stuff like analog 3V products.
Okay, so let's focus purely on processors like Qualcomm, maybe more on the connections.
Think of them as masters of the complex silicon needed to connect everything and move massive amounts of data. Their markets are incredibly wide-ranging.
Gotcha.
Enterprise networking, data center gear, home internet equipment, telecom infrastructure, smartphone components, though often different ones than Qualcomm majors in.
Right.
Cellular base stations, servers and storage in data centers, factory automation, power generation systems, even electronic displays. It's a huge list.
Wow. Okay, so while Qualcomm seems to be expanding out from mobile to the edge, Broadcom sounds like it's already deeply embedded in the core infrastructure plus key device components.
That's a great way to put it. Now, the case for Broadcom, according to the material, is largely built around two massive trends right now.
Okay.
First, just incredibly strong demand for their networking products. They are fundamental to the internet, to cloud data centers. That's a core strength.
The plumbing of the digital world, essentially.
Pretty much. And second, crucially, custom AI accelerators.
The XPUs mentioned in the material.
Yes, XPUs. And the material explains why these are so vital. Training these enormous generative AI models we keep hearing about, it needs specialized, unbelievably powerful chips.
More than just standard CPUs or GPUs.
Way more specialized. You need chips that tightly integrate massive computation, high-speed memory access, and super fast data input-output, all working together efficiently, using less power, and at a manageable cost. It's a huge engineering challenge.
And Broadcom is a leader in building these custom AI brains, specifically for the biggest players.
Exactly. Primarily for the hyperscalers, the Googles, the Metas, the Amazons, the Microsofts running the world's biggest data centers. The material highlights that Broadcom's working on the next generation using cutting-edge 3-nanometer manufacturing.
3 nanometers, that's tiny.
Incredibly small.
Oh, yeah.
Vital for packing more power and efficiency onto the silicon. The material expects these next-gen XPUs to ship in volume to those hyperscale customers in late fiscal 2025. That's a massive potential revenue stream tied directly to the AI boom.
So strong in networking, leader in custom AI chips. But Broadcom is also known for growing through buying other companies, right?
Aggressively. And Tischer really points this out. They've used acquisitions strategically to diversify way beyond just semiconductors and build up a significant infrastructure software business.
Like who?
Well, buying CA Technologies and Symantec's enterprise security unit really expanded their software footprint. The LSI acquisition got them deep into storage chips. Brocade gave them a major share of the fiber channel SAN market.
SANs, storage area networks,
Yeah.
high-speed storage connections in data centers.
Exactly. Specialized networks connecting servers to storage arrays. And then, of course, the elephant in the room, the huge VMware acquisition.
Right, that was massive.
And the material notes how that significantly boosted their infrastructure software side, giving them a huge platform in cloud management and data center virtualization. It's a clear strategy to be much more than just a chip company.
That's a lot of integrating different businesses very quickly. Does the material mention any downsides or challenges for Broadcom?
Oh, absolutely. It points out a few key ones. One is just intense pricing pressure in most of their markets.
Because the components are complex, but maybe somewhat standardized.
Often, yeah. Customers are always pushing for lower costs, and that puts a squeeze on Broadcom's profit margins. It's a constant battle.
And specific technical competition.
Yes. For instance, in things like FBR filters used in phones for radio signals, they compete head-on with companies like Skyworks, which uses a different technology called SAW filters. It's a tech arms race, even for these smaller but vital components.
And didn't the Brocade acquisition pit them against a giant?
It did. It put them in direct competition with Cisco in that fiber channel sand market. So they bought market share, but also bought a major fight.
And the material specifically calls out the risks of all those acquisitions.
Yeah, integration risk. It explicitly mentions potential challenges. Merging big companies, different cultures, product lines, tech stacks.
Yeah.
It's incredibly complex and doesn't always go smoothly. There's always execution risk involved.
So a picture emerges. Broadcom, deeply embedded in digital infrastructure, riding that huge custom AI wave, using acquisitions to build an empire, but facing constant pricing battles and the inherent risks of integrating so many different pieces.
That's a pretty accurate summary based on the material, yeah.
Okay, so we've looked at Qualcomm, mobile IP strength, pushing to the edge, AI PCs, but facing device-level competition, and Broadcom, infrastructure king, custom AI leader for hyperscalers, growing via acquisition, but facing pricing and integration hurdles.
So let's bring it back. What does all this mean for you listening right now? Why should you care about the strategic games these giants are playing?
Yeah, this is the crucial connection, isn't it? Because the material makes it clear. This competition, this technological race between companies like Qualcomm and Broadcom, it directly shapes the tech you use every single day.
Think about it. How fast is your phone's 5G or Wi-Fi? The processing power in your next laptop? The smart features showing up in your car? How smoothly your cloud services work when you stream video?
Or even the AI tools you might be starting to use for work or, just for fun.
Exactly. All of that relies fundamentally on the chips these companies design and the networking infrastructure their products enable.
The material shows both are scrambling to adapt to AI becoming pervasive, right? Whether it's AI running locally on your device, maybe powered by Qualcomm.
Or AI being trained and run in those massive data centers powered by Broadcom's networking gear and those custom XPUs. It's hitting from both ends.
So their wins, their losses, their strategic choices. They aren't just lines on a stock chart. They directly influence how quickly technology advances and what features become available to you.
It really does filter down to the user experience in countless ways.
Okay, so this has been our deep dive looking at these two fascinating companies based on the material we had. Qualcomm, building out from mobile, leveraging IP, targeting the intelligent edge, and AI PCs.
And Broadcom, the infrastructure backbone dominating networking, leading in custom AI for the biggest data centers, and using those big acquisitions to expand its reach into software.
And as the material clearly showed, both are operating in incredibly competitive arenas, constantly facing challenges from rivals and navigating their own unique strategic paths.
Absolutely. Neither has an easy road ahead.
So here's a final thought to leave you with drawing from these insights. Considering the fierce competition and the breakneck speed of change that the material highlights for both Qualcomm and Broadcom, what do you think will be the single biggest factor determining their success over the next few years?
Is it going to be purely about who innovates the fastest technologically, pushing the boundaries of silicon?
Or is it more about building the right strategic partnerships, getting those key design wins and ecosystem support?
Or maybe the most critical skill will be navigating the tricky geopolitical currents and broader market pressures we touched on?
Technological brilliance, strategic alliances, or geopolitical savvy. Something to ponder, perhaps, the next time you pick up your phone, connect to Wi-Fi, or use an AI service powered somewhere deep down by the work of these giants.
A great question to chew on.